Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. Asyhadu an la ilaha illallah. Asyhadu an la ilaha illallah. Asyhadu anna Muhammadar Rasulullah. Asyhadu anna Muhammadar Rasulullah. Hayya 'alas salam. Hayya 'alas salam. Hayya 'alal falah. Hayya 'alal falah. Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. La ilaha illallah.
الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونعوذ بالله من شرور انفسنا وسيئات اعمالنا من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له واشهد ان لا اله الا الله وحده لا شريك له واشهد ان محمدا عبده ورسوله صلى الله عليه واله واصحابه ومن تبعهم باحسان الى يوم الدين ثم اما بعد. قال الله عز وجل: شرع لكم من الدين ما وصى به نوحا والذي أوحينا إليه وما وصينا به إبراهيم وموسى وعيسى أن أقيموا الدين ولا تتفرقوا فيه. Allah said in Surah Al-Shura, Allah has legislated for you. Allah has commanded for you. شرع لكم من الدين. He has legislated for you the deen, that of which ما وصى به نوحا, same thing that he gave as an advice and an admonition to Noah. وما وصينا به إبراهيم وموسى وعيسى, it's the same thing that Allah Jalla wa Ala advised Abraham, Jesus and Moses with. And أقيموا الدين ولا تتفرقوا فيه, establish the deen and do not differentiate in it. Establish the deen and do not separate in it. Do not break up in it. Allah Jalla wa Ala said in the following ayah, وَمَا تَفَرَّقُوا إِلَّا مِنْ بَعْدِ مَا جَاءَهُمُ الْعِلْمُ بَغْيًا بَيْنَهُمْ. The only reason why they did differ after that, and he's specifically talking about those who differed and made new religions out of the religion of Noah. They made new religions out of the religion of Dawood, made new religions out of the religion of Isa and Musa and Ibrahim. They split up into different religions. Allah Jalla wa Ala said about them that they did that after knowledge came to them. They knew better, basically. They knew exactly what they needed to do to remain upon La ilaha illallah and to follow the prophet that was sent to them. They knew exactly what it was. But they differed baghyan bainahum. The word baghi here means transgression, enmity, hatred. It could mean that they loved the worldly life and they strove for it. So they developed hatred, not based off of deen, but based off of hawa, based off of desires. They developed hatred for one another. And they split off into groups, into sects, and they split off into different religions. And Allah Jalla wa Ala said about them, وَلَوْلَا كَلِمَةٌ سَبَقَتْ مِنْ رَبِّكَ إِلَى أَجَلٍ مُسَمًّى لَقُضِيَ بَيْنَهُمْ. If it was not for the fact that Allah has already established a word that allows them respite to a certain amount of time, which is the day of judgment. If it wasn't for the fact that that was the case, Allah would have decided already. وَإِنَّ الَّذِينَ أُورِثُوا الْكِتَابَ مِنْ بَعْدِهِمْ لَفِي شَكٍّ مِّنْهُ مُرِيبٍ. The result of it is, what is the result of the differing? What is the result of the bickering? What is the result of the splitting up and the name calling and so on and so forth? The result is those who inherited the book after them are in debilitating doubt about the deen. Debilitating means they are hesitant. They can't move. They don't know what to do. For example, a debilitating sore, imagine if you woke up with a crick in your neck, you woke up with a sore neck, it would be debilitating if you find it hard for you to move, to make basic movements, because your neck is hurting. It's debilitating. And this type of shak, this type of doubt of the deen is what our children are suffering from. Why? From the differing of their elders, the differing of their brothers, the differing of the people who came and established masajid, the differing of the people who are in the masajid, the differing between the du'at and the khutbah and the mashayikh, that people are differing and differing and differing and more differing and more differing. And what happens? More and more chaos, more and more confusion. But I believe if we had empathy, like the Prophet ﷺ had empathy, and empathy is not sympathy. Sympathy is to recognize and acknowledge that someone is suffering. Empathy is to feel their pain, to put yourself in their shoes. If we were to follow the sunnah of empathy, like Rasulullah ﷺ used to have, we would humanize one another as opposed to dehumanize one another. As for empathy, Rasulullah ﷺ said that Ikrimah is coming to you. مؤمنا مهاجرا فلا تسبوا أباه فإن سب الميت يؤذي الحي ولا يبلغ الميت. He said, Ikrimah, the son of Abu Jahl. Rasulullah said about Abu Jahl that he is Fir'aun هذه الأمة. He is the pharaoh of this world, of this nation. So as bad as Fir'aun was, that's Abu Jahl. His son Ikrimah fought. He fought against the Muslims. He fought in the battle of Badr. He fought diligently against the Muslims. But he became a believer. So guess what? When he becomes a believer, what do? We accept him. Rasul sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said, don't curse his father. Who was what? Who was who? Abu Jahl. Don't curse him. Don't say nothing about Abu Jahl around Ikrimah. Why? Because by cursing the dead man, you hurt the live man. By cursing the dead one, you harm his son. So he had empathy for him. He felt for Ikrimah. And Ikrimah used to go by Medina, as was authentically reported also. And he would complain because people would say, هَذَا بْنُ عَدُوِّ اللَّهِ أَبِي جَهَلٍ. They would not call him by Ikrimah. They would say, this is the son of Allah's enemy, Abu Jahl. So he used to be hurt by that. He already has to suffer the pain of his father going to hell. He used to be hurt now that people keep saying that. Now they keep reminding him and keep naming him after the fact that he's the son of his father. Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam stood up and gave a whole khutbah telling the people that people are like mineral deposits. They're different. Some minerals are better than others. And those who are good in the time before Islam are also good in Islam. Meaning those who have status before Islam, like Abu Jahl, he had a status. Ikrimah had a status. And you all know, like Khalid ibn al-Walid and Umar and all of these people, they had statuses before Islam. So when they come to Islam, they maintain their status as long as they have Islamic knowledge. So now it is not just the bloodline and the affiliation that makes them maintain their status, but now it's Islamic beneficial knowledge that they have and the upholding of Islamic values. So he sallallahu alayhi wa sallam forbade people to remind Ikrimah that way and to humiliate him in that way. He felt for Ikrimah. He had empathy. Another such example is at the death of Abdullah ibn Ubay ibn Salul. He had a son. His son was named Habbab. Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said, no, your name is Abdullah. Then, when Abdullah ibn Ubay ibn Salul was on his deathbed, he sent for the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. And Abdullah, the son, came and summoned the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. And he said, my father summons you, perhaps you can ask Allah to forgive him, and so on and so forth. So Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam went. So he's on the deathbed, he's at the deathbed of the Ra'sul Munafiqeen, at the head of the hypocrites of his time. He's at his deathbed. When was the last time you was at the person's deathbed that you haven't been speaking to in 20 years? You and him and you and her had a disagreement about something 40 years ago. Y'all argue, y'all haven't spoke to each other since. Both of y'all pray in the masjid, y'all go to Jumu'ah, y'all fast on Ramadan, you make Hajj. But you can't get over the ghilli, you can't get over the enmity and the hatred. You still got to talk about it, bring it up, call them names, call her names, humiliate them. Oh man, you know. This is Rasulullah at the deathbed of the head of the hypocrites. Why? To listen to what he had to say. So then, he's at the deathbed of Abdullah ibn Ubay ibn Salul. And he asked, Ya Rasulullah, astaghfirli. You know, ask Allah to forgive me and so on and so forth. Please, Ya Rasulullah, give me your rida. Give me your shirt. Give me your cloth. I'm going to wrap up in it. Rasulullah gave him his cloth. Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam gave the head of the hypocrites his own cloth as a kafan, so he can die in it and be buried in it. Yes, it's not going to benefit him, and Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam knows that. He knows that my cloth is not going to benefit him. But, and he said it, he said my cloth is not going to benefit him. But I hope that 100 people from his tribe and from his people will accept Islam because of that. He looked at the greater goal. He took the higher road. He felt for people. And he felt for the son of Abdullah ibn Ubay ibn Salul. And he even tried to pray over him. And you all know the story that Umar pulled him back and so on and so forth. And then Allah revealed in Surah Tawbah, don't pray over them. Right? But up until that point, he sallallahu alayhi wa sallam is trying. When was the last time you tried to forgive your brother? When was the last time you tried to forgive your sister? When was the last time you put the beef to the side and just gave your brother and sister a hug? Stop talking about each other so much. Stop cussing each other so much. Stop humiliating each other so much. It's not worth it. And it's not the way of Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. So we lack empathy as a community. And what does this lack of empathy lead to? It leads to dehumanization. It leads to not considering a person even a worthy human being. Where now we can, check a person if they come in the door, ask them a bunch of questions. Wallahi, I've been interrogated by individuals. Start asking me, this and that. And I wonder, man, I just met you. You don't even know my name. What you asking me all these questions for? He think it's deen. Wallahi. Tallahi, billah, he think it's deen for him to interrogate me, to know where my stance is on this and where my stance is on that. That's not from the way of Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, but we make that deen. And you know what we do? We humiliate ourselves and humiliate the deen. And then people run away, not from the deen, but from our interpretation of Islam. So then what? That dehumanization leads to violence. People killing each other, fighting each other over differences. Because I didn't take your position, you want to kill me? Or because I don't follow your way? Because I don't agree with you in everything you say? You want to kill my relatives? Kill my son? Kill my daughter? Kill my mother? It's absurd. This is not deen. This is la'ib. This is play. But we have to wake up, brothers and sisters. We have been suffering too long from differing and arguing and name calling and humiliating and bickering and belittling. We are suffering. And that's why our masajid are not united. And that's why we don't have institutions that are built that can sponsor our kids, as well as them getting their secular education. They can be sponsored for a healthy Islamic education. Why we don't have that? Why are kids still taking loans off of the bank just to go to school? Because we don't have financial bodies that can send our kids to school. Why we can't trust each other with money? Why don't we have any true depth, talk of economic depth in our communities? Everybody's trying to do something on their own. Come on, man. It comes from differing. It comes from bickering. It comes from dehumanization. It comes from violence. What else do we benefit from this ayah? The confusion that it brings. Confusion, what do you mean? The confusion of our practice of Islam. How is it confusing people? Number one, people are disappointed. I accepted Islam in Philadelphia, West Philadelphia, at 12 years old. People are confused how? Because we come in, we talking about, Bismillah, Alhamdulillah, La ilaha illallah, Allahu Akbar. But I need a job. So I need to learn what are the proper etiquettes of buying and selling. What are the proper etiquettes of being a trustworthy individual? We come from people that are not trustworthy. We come from lying and stealing and cheating and all of that. Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam had Sahaba who were the same before Islam. Then he taught them Islam and then they became different people. We become Muslims but we don't become different people. We're the same people with Islam on top of it. And that's why we can't be trusted. That's why we can't be, we humiliate each other. So the new Muslim coming in Islam and they're looking like, hold up. This is the Muslims, mashallah, we got a full masjid. But many of you don't even say salam to each other. In fact, I promise you, many of you have been probably praying here for at least 10 years. You don't know the name of the person next to you. Atahaddakum, I challenge you. Tell me the name of the person next to you when we finish. Say, Imam, I'm the exception. I'm the exception, Imam. The guy who was sitting next to me, his name is so-and-so, his wife is so-and-so, his kids go to this school, and he lives over there. And every time he needs me, I'm there for him. That's Islam. That's Islam. Every time he need me, I'm what? I'm there for him. I know his name. I got his number. I know his mom. I know his dad. That's Islam. Not a build a masjid and have a, wear a toe and beard, big beard, mashallah, and niqabs and hijabs, and we can say, mashallah, and we can say words like bid'ah and all of this stuff. We can say all of this stuff, but what about the real Islam? What about the actual practice? When somebody called you late at night, 2 o'clock in the morning, bro, I need you to come pick me up, man, come pick me up. When was the last time you did that? When was the last time you visited a Muslim that was not on a deathbed, that was sick? When was the last time you did that? When was the last time you said hello to your neighbor and brought them a gift? That's Islam. We practicing all this other extra subtlety stuff, this surface stuff, so we feel better about ourselves. But the real Islam we're not practicing, or those depth levels of Islam we're not practicing. So guess what? We are suffering as a result. And people can say anything they want. Muslims are fair game today. People can say anything they want about Islam and they don't have any fear of any repercussions of what they say. It's absurd. It is absurd and it is a shame. In addition to that, along with the confusion, disappointment, we have youth leaving the religion. Youth are leaving the religion literally and figuratively. Literally, you already know. People are leaving Islam, becoming atheists or what have you. What about figuratively? Children are leaving and Muslims are leaving Islam, elders and children and so forth, leaving it figuratively. How? They don't have any confidence. Ask them a question about Islam. I don't know. Ask my Imam. Why don't you ask your Imam? Why didn't you know enough that you can answer the question? Right? Get put in a sticky situation. If I grab one of you, I don't want to try after Jumu'ah. And this is just one example. Give me the translation of Surah Al-Fatiha in the language, your native language. It could be Urdu or English or Hindi or Bengali or whatever it is. Whatever language that is, native language, give me the translation of Al-Fatiha from beginning to end. And I don't want to hear and all that, because you got gray in your face. You have gray hairs. If you don't know Al-Fatiha's translation, then you definitely don't know the meaning of it. And if you don't know the meaning of it, then you definitely don't know what it calls you to, what it tells you to do. Right? And if you don't know it, guess what? Your child don't know. And this is the confusion that we're in. Youth leaving the religion. They don't have any confidence. I've asked hundreds of people, hundreds of sittings like this. How many of you all read the Quran from Al-Fatiha to An-Nas in Arabic? And I appreciate the Southeast Asians. I appreciate the Somalis and everybody who make it a culture to read the Quran in Arabic. I appreciate the culture. I've taught many students, alhamdulillah, from those regions. They read the Quran in Arabic. But then when I ask how many of you have read the Quran in English, usually everybody raise their hand for the Arabic. They do Nazira, right? And stuff like that. Everybody makes a culture of that. Alhamdulillah, that's a great thing. Everybody raise their hand. Then I say, how many of you read the Quran in English? Maybe one. How are they going to carry the deen forward if they don't know what the Quran is saying? They're definitely not learning Arabic. So if they're not learning Arabic, they should at least read the what? English, but they read Harry Potter books, all 7 of them. Big, thick books like this. And they read and they're reading and they're reading everything else but the Quran translation. So the children have no confidence in the deen. They go around changing their name. Yeah, my name Mo, man. Call me Mo. Yeah, your name is Muhammad. What are you talking about, Mo? Why are you hiding? They don't have any confidence. Why they don't have any confidence? Because of the differing of their fathers and their mothers, differing and bickering over things. It could be justifiably, they had an argument about something that should be argued about. There could be unjustified. But the reality is that we're doing a lot of arguing and a lot less building. We're doing a lot of arguing and fighting and a lot less loving and caring. So even though if some of those issues are worthy of being argued about, what about the rest of them that are not worthy? And if it was always about arguing and bickering and fighting and calling each other names, then why we're doing so much of that, but that's doing nothing for our institutions? That's doing nothing to keep our kids in the masjid. So obviously we're doing something wrong. Also, we benefit from this ayah. Wallahu a'lam, this is observations. These are my personal observations in this field, growing up as a convert Muslim and traveling and studying and being in the field of giving da'wah. These are observations I've seen in all communities. I'm not restricting it to one community over other. I'm not restricting it to one ethnicity over the other. I'm not restricting it to one claim over the other. A group has a certain claim and another group has another claim. This is all across the board. I've seen it in everybody. So I'm not specifying anybody. I'm saying everybody has these problems. We have people are entering the religion of Islam upon the ruins of the current members. And this is how I depict it. Imagine you have a house that is burned down. The only thing left is a door frame. Open the door, you enter the door. That's entering Islam. Now you're at a house that's burned down. Now I got to go in here and look for stuff that's salvageable. Look for this and look for that and try to salvage some pieces of some value. And that's what we have. For example, out of the possibly 10 Muslims who accepted Islam in the last year in this masjid, how many of them are right here, right now? That's number one. Number two, how many of you have their numbers? Number three, how many of you know their names? Number four, how many of you know where they live? Number five, how many of you know where they work? And number six, how many of you, and you on the internet, how many of you all actually helped that person and kept it between you and them? Think about it deeply. Marinate for a second. If you actually think about it, you should start thinking to yourself, well, man, I got a lot of work to do. That's the point. It's great that we've established masajid and we read Quran and we memorize hadith and we memorize Quran and we, mashallah, have Islamic households and things like that. But that's great. But what about the other things that we need to be doing as a community that will help our community, will help us love each other? Loving your brother is a part of Islam. Being a brother to your brother is a part of Islam. How so? What's the dalil? Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, when he went to Medina, when he made hijrah, what did he do? He built al-Quba. After he built al-Quba, he established brotherhood. You see? He established what? Brotherhood between Muhajirin and Ansar. Some scholars say he did it before he built Quba. Not only that, he established an economical system. How did he do that? You all know that when he went, sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, to Medina, the Yahud who were living there had a monopoly over the economic system. They had a lot of money and they had their own souk, they had their own marketplace. Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam went to the marketplace and he was not pleased with the deception and the connivery and so on and so forth. So you know what he did? He went back to Medina. He used his blessed foot, sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, and he etched out a new marketplace. For who? For the Muslims. Practical. There are another number of things that we suffer from as a community due to this differing and bickering and name calling and so on and so forth. And that, in essence, is knowledge. You might say, well, man, I memorized a lot. Long time, I've been Muslim, alhamdulillah, 25 years, 35 years. I memorized Al-Fatiha, I memorized Juz Amma, mashallah, I memorized this, I memorized that. I memorized this book and that book. right? I've been attending classes for 15 years and so on and so forth. That's great. But what are we suffering from? We're suffering from the irresponsibility in the acquisition and dissemination of knowledge. We're irresponsible when we acquire knowledge. Most of that returns to our teachers. Because the teacher, for example, might not know exactly what we need to be taught, right? Because teaching Islam is no copy-paste thing. What am I saying? Teaching Islam is no what? Copy-paste. You go to an institution, you cut from there, and you apply it here. That's not. Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, he taught Islam in such an organic way. He taught Islam as he's living with the Sahaba. He taught them, he told them, he instructed them, this shouldn't be done, that shouldn't be done. Right? So it's not necessarily cut and paste, wallahu a'lam bis-sawab. But this concept of we need to be responsible when we acquire knowledge. Learn your iman. Learn some Quran. Learn some fiqh. Right? Learn some mu'amalat. Learn some economics too. Learn business. And make institutions that can be supported, self-sustainable. And then once you finish that level, go to the next level. And then go to the next level. You have some people just focus in hadith all the way. Some people just focus in aqidah all the way from Sula Sitta to Tadmuriyah. Some people that just focus in, certain aspects of Islam. Tazkiyah, they just focus in Tazkiyah. Tazkiyah to nafs. But they just focus in political, activism. You don't have to just focus on one thing and go with it. Take Islam level by level. Learn what's necessary. We have to be responsible in acquisition of knowledge. Responsible. And responsible when we disseminate this knowledge. Because unfortunately, the dissemination of knowledge, how it has been, and I've observed in many communities, many cultures and brothers and sisters with different languages, as I've visited them and taught them and lived with them, I've seen that there's an irresponsibility in the dissemination of this knowledge, how people relay the message. So all of us need to review that. We need to go back. We need to sit down. Imams need to sit down. Masajid need to sit down. Imams need to sit down and talk to them. Look, hey brother, you got these issues in your community. You got those issues. I got these issues. How we can work together and make a curriculum that our people can benefit from together. In addition to that, we have self-righteousness. 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 Because some people, when they take a little bit of knowledge, they think that they've reached something. I memorized this and I memorized, right? People say that. Self-righteousness is kibr. It's arrogance. And when you look at kibr, you look at arrogance itself, you'll find that a person in his arrogance sees themselves, as some scholars have said, استعظام النفس ورؤية قدرها فوق قدر الغير. That you think yourself to be hard, you think yourself to be great, and you think that you are better than someone else. Number one, that's not Islam. If any time you saw a person who walked in the masjid, who was at a supermarket, who walked their kid across the street, and because she didn't have a hijab, or because he didn't have a beard, or because of this, or because of that, and you thought that you were better than them, and you thought, oh, look at that poor soul over there. That sin in itself of kibr is probably greater than all of the sins that person is committing. Don't forget that arrogance is the first thing that got Shaitan on his path, right? He was arrogant first, but before he was arrogant, he was conceited. And that's where you have the concept of ujub. Conceit precedes arrogance. And the difference between conceit and arrogance is that person can be conceited within themselves. But an arrogant person is arrogant against someone else, right? Conceit and arrogance are both extremely dangerous. And that's the way we live at a time where everybody has a claim for themselves. Person memorizes Quran, he says, Ya Allah, I'm Hafiz, I did that, so you low lives, right? A person attend a couple of hadith, memorize some books, memorize Arba'in Nawawiyya and things like that, you feel like, I'm great, I memorized it. No, you're not. In fact, the Sahaba, we are more certain of our place in Jannah than the Sahaba were themselves. This is my observation. We as a community We are more certain about our place in Jannah than the Sahaba were. Because when you compare what we say to what they say, we say about ourselves that we're saved. We're going to paradise. We're the saved group. We're this, we're that. We make all of these claims for ourselves. But when Ali ibn Abi Talib radiyallahu ta'ala anhu was asked from his son asked him, who is the best person? Ya Abi, or as he said, my father, who is the best person after Rasulullah? Ali said, Abu Bakr. He said, then who? He said, then Umar. Then his son said, I was afraid he would say Uthman. So I said, then you. He said, man, I'm nothing but one of the Muslims. He said, Ma ana illa wahidun min al-muslimin. I am nothing but what? I'm nothing but one of the Muslims. You remember Umar radiyallahu anhu, he said that if somebody called that everybody will enter Jannah except one, I'm afraid that one is not me. And if everybody said that everyone is going to hellfire except one, I hope that person is me. I hope. But we say bil jazm. We say definitely we are this. Definitely we are that. These are claims that Sahaba never made. They never made these claims. And they never took for granted their suhbah, their companionship with Rasulullah. They always stayed closer to fear. And you all know how Abdullah ibn Amr ibn al-As radiyallahu anhu on his deathbed, what he said about himself. And I was afraid if Allah would accept him or not. These are Sahaba, man. They're different from us. They didn't make no claims. They didn't look down on people. They didn't cuss and carry on and humiliate. They were humble. That's why Allah gave them victory. And that's why they were able to spread Islam throughout the land. And then look at us, suffering. Muslims in Islam, fair game. Anybody can say anything about Islam. You know why? Because of our condition, not because of Islam. Alhamdulillah wahdah, salatu wa salamu ala man la nabiyya ba'dah. On a positive note, we say La ilaha illallah Muhammadur Rasulullah. So we hope that Allah will accept us amongst the Muslims. We hope so. And when you see a Muslim, regardless of how they look or what have you, say Salamu Alaikum. Say it from the bottom of your heart. And if somebody enters the masjid and you've never seen them before, they're a traveler, make it your business to ask their name, please. Give them your phone number. Ask them, there's anything I can do for you? Be Muslims, brothers and sisters. That's how it is. Let's stop talking about how great Muslims we are and start being great Muslims. I want your heart to fill up with love for your brother. I want your heart to fill up with love for your sister. I want your heart to fill up with love for Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam and Sahaba. Love that this deen is spread. Love that people understand it. Get out there and serve your neighbors. Get out there and meet the people who have the shops around and so on and so forth. Be a good person and stop talking about being a good person. Just do it. Respect your parents. Respect your children. Respect your spouses. This is Islam. Not I'm in the masjid nice to everybody, then I go in the house and I'm cussing out my kids. Or I'm telling my wife, where my food at? What you doing? That's not Islam. Let's be true, wholesome Muslims. Let us also know that love for the sake of Allah and brotherhood and sisterhood for the sake of Allah is rewarded. So if you shake somebody's hand and hug them, you make them feel better. Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said, وَسُرُورٌ تُدْخِلُهُ عَلَى قَلْبِ Muslim. It's just some happiness that you make a Muslim feel. That's rewardable. Please, brothers and sisters, stop judging one another. Stop being so critical of one another. Open your hearts. Love your brothers and sisters. And inshallah, you will see a huge difference. You will see a huge difference in the practice of Islam, in the amount of converts, and the retaining of converts, and the development of your communities. Wa sallallahu wa sallam ala Muhammadin wa alihi walhamdulillahi rabbil alameen wa aqimus salat.